Hi there, this is Mark, and I am here in my home. It's just me doing the reading today from The Golden Present, daily inspirational readings by Sri Swami Satchidananda. Reading these for 365 days. I should do a count to see how many days I've done, but it's over 2 months now. Started on December 21st, and I do the reading each day. Just open the book, and then I look at the reading for today and then just share my thoughts spontaneously. So the heading of this one is, Then Why Should You Go to Surf? Let's see where this one's going to go. If you're just going to follow nature and get tossed by the waves, then why should you go to surf? The nature of the ocean is to try to dump you. You are going there to learn to surf without getting dumped. It is the nature of the mind to constantly change. You should learn how to surf on the waves of the mind rather than being tossed and beaten by them. Always affirm that you are not going to be the slave of the mind. You are going to be the master. Exercise your mastery. If something terrible comes, you think, oh, I can't bear it. I can't stand it another minute. But if you just hold on a little longer, it passes. Then you are so relieved. Good and bad are all a mental matter. Sometimes white clouds come, sometimes black clouds come. Wait a little, everything passes away. Don't give up. When a restless cloud passes, you are peaceful again. If you give up and run somewhere else, there will be a difficult situation to face there too. Wherever you go, your own mind goes with you. It will create the same problem, maybe in a different way. If you can keep control over the mind, wherever you are will be a heaven. If you do not have that control, even if you are in heaven, it will be a hell for you. Yeah, wow, I like this one. It is the nature of the mind to constantly change. I like this analogy with the ocean waves, and that when you go to surf, you're not just going in there to get beaten up by the waves, just to feel like you're, on this ride where you're helpless. Even I was thinking of a roller coaster. You can't change the course of the roller coaster. They've designed it to go, all these certain ways and to surprise you even in certain points. But you can control the way that you relate to that ride. And it made me think of a story some years ago. I went to wasn't Magic Mountain? I can't remember, one of the amusement parks here on the West Coast. And it was a time when I was still dancing, and we were performing, I think that night, or maybe the following night. And in the company that I was in, it was a theater company, so we had dialogue, we sang, we used our voices, and so I didn't want to get on a roller coaster and scream, and get on another one and scream, and just lose my voice with all of the fun of a roller coaster. And I thought, I'm going to try going on a roller coaster and not screaming and just breathing in the experience when I'm doing it. And then for some reason, I usually ride in the back I used to ride in the back of a roller coaster, and I chose to ride in the front car. I just don't remember why I chose that, but maybe just to intensify the whole experience. And I started off with a smaller roller coaster, and I was able to go through the experience and just breathe through when I would have screamed. Just take a deep breath, and it was really powerful. And then I'm like, all right, let's try the next roller coaster. I kept moving up, and I think by the fifth roller coaster, I went on the one that you're on it backwards, and you start going up the hill backwards, and it's the highest one in the whole park. And then once you get to the very top, it actually shoots straight down, but you're going backwards, so you just see the whole sky, and then you drop, straight back. And I was like, I'm not going to scream. I can't scream. And what I ended up doing was laughing. just this burst of emotion came out because I was so aware of everything that was happening that it actually just, I mean, it was joy, but it was also kind of laughter of amazement and awe and surprise. And I felt more present than I can ever recall being present on a roller coaster, because normally when you scream, you kind of go into this other state, um, to be able to make it through. But in that instance, it was like I was so aware of all the movements that it was actually pure joy and bliss. And I will say, I remember I was done after that last one. I didn't want to do it again. So it was like, okay, I feel like I reached that peak experience and I need a pause now. But I guess I thought about that. Like I could have allowed that to just, scare me, or to even kind of traumatize me with the intensity of it, because I hadn't gone on a roller coaster in a long, long time. And instead, I was able to be with it in a different way. And it was a lesson. It was definitely, I often share about it with some friends when I talk about like a spiritual moment or an awakening moment, because this sense of empowerment and um, ability to find joy within intensity, um, not exactly adversity, but there was a part of me that was resisting to it. So, and there's a part of you that's not in control, right? You just follow the course of the track, and I was okay with it. Didn't want it to be any different. I like this other part too about, um, wait a little, everything passes, don't give up. And I often feel in some life experiences where it feels like, actually right now with this, developing a business, weeks go by and I don't feel like I'm accomplishing what I've wanted, or I have my goals set and I don't reach the goal. And maybe, 1 week I do, and then another week I don't, 2 weeks I don't, 1 week I do. And it is like, riding the waves. And there are times when I'm like, maybe this isn't going to work. I'm like, you know. And I'm reminded that this is part of the cycle of any thing, but certainly of any business. You go through these waves. And that's why I have much more gratitude and appreciation for anyone who starts a business, maintains a business, thrives in a business, starts another business, and then another business. It's a lot, but I do recognize that after you build the strength and you create that endurance to be able to make something like that happen, you get more skillful, become a better surfer, and you're not just getting beaten up every time by the waves. You're starting to learn how to move this way and then move that way with the different things. It's, reminds me of also of dance or practicing yoga, understanding how to balance. I was explaining to somebody else the other day that, within a balancing pose, oftentimes in the beginning you make these big moves if you feel yourself falling off balance, and that big move often can throw you off balance the other way. But over time you start to develop this sense of subtlety underneath the feet, within the whole body, to be able to make smaller movements and smaller adjustments so that you are able to maintain balance without having to make such drastic moves. Slowly by slowly, it's just little and smaller moves to the point they're almost undetectable movements. Those kind of practices give me information about what I'm doing right now with the business. I think at first things are throwing me and I'm like, but I do trust, and I have had little experiences that will show me that eventually, there can be softer movements. But even as an experienced yogi or as an experienced surfer, there's still going to be times when that unexpected wave happens, or I've fallen off balance because I'm testing myself a little further. I'm going a little deeper into a pose, further than I've been able to go, because of my practice, is evolving. And I may fall over. But it's through that practice that you keep learning that there's a cycle, And I like this final thing, just if you give up and run somewhere else, that difficult situation will be there as well. And I've definitely learned that. So deal with them, work on them, let those things be there and weather through. It's not to throw you off and think like, oh, I should give up. You'll know in your heart when that moment is like you've had enough, or the time is completed, the experience is completed, and move on. But otherwise, if something in your heart says to keep moving, keep working on this, um, listen to that. And that's what my heart is saying. So thanks for listening. I know there's another interesting speech or thing on the television that's being shared that I'm interested in as well. Be open-minded about it, and take the next step. All right, thank you. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.